Good morning, everybody. Today is April 14th. It is 9:16 on the East Coast. We are going to talk some news. This is 5 Minutes of Freight, brought to you by Freight Broker Live and Capacity Magazine. You don't know what that is yet, but you'll find out eventually. Anyway, so my name is Steve Oatley. What I like to do in these little 5 Minutes of Freight videos is try to talk about some of the news, some of the highlights of the news in 5 minutes. It's kind of hard for me to do because especially on days like today, because there's a lot of news. So today it's going to be 5 minutes of freight, but it's probably going to be more like 15, but whatever. um, the first news story we're going to talk about is related to the story I broke yesterday, or the story I wrote about yesterday, the Smithfield Foods plant in Sioux Falls closing down temporarily for 2 weeks or whatever after 290. The number keeps going up. So as of right now, there's 290 people that have been that have tested positive for COVID-19. So one of the stories I wrote this morning is YRC call center employees are concerned about COVID-19 exposure after Smithfield closure. So they're worried about getting exposed because they're working in a call center, handling all the essential, calls in and out and in and out for YRC. And they're saying they're not getting the resources and the I don't know, protections in place enough, because they're considered essential. So the Teamsters, who are representing the 160 plus employees at YRC, are basically saying YRC management is not taking the coronavirus pandemic seriously. The lack of action and concern for management has been alarming. They've provided little to no communication for employees, and whatever information they have communicated appears to either be false or incomplete. So those are some very, very strong accusations. So I don't know what's going to come of this. We don't know if the Teamsters are preparing to do a strike or what they're planning to do. According to YRC's daily COVID-19 response guide, which is posted on their website, YRC has several steps in place to mitigate exposure to COVID-19. And they have a statement on there that says the trucking industry is the backbone of the American economy, and YRCW's role in the North American supply chain is critical, especially now. Currently, there are no COVID-19 related delays across our freight network. I don't know. I guess their own freight network, because everyone knows that there are major delays everywhere else. Anyway, in their freight network infrastructure, including duplicate customer service centers and other contingencies, allow us to continue customer support in the event of an emergency response. So it's kind of interesting, that you have two completely different perspectives on it. And I'll follow this story to update you guys as more information becomes available, because right now it's kind of, you have one side, which is the employees that are working there that are saying, hey, listen, it's not cool. And then you have the other side, which is a big corporation that's saying, oh, we're doing everything we can. So who knows what's actually going to happen? The only thing we know is Smith Foods is closing down. Their CEO they're closing down temporarily. Their CEO has basically said, hey, listen, this is going to be a big deal, and there could be a national food shortage or a national meat shortage because of this, while other farmers are saying something completely different and saying, no, we have stockpiles and freezers, and we have surplus meat all set up. And right now is typically the slower time for meat, purchasing. And so it's really, the whole industry is weird. I'm going on Fault Lines Radio tomorrow morning, and I'm actually going to talk about Smithfield and Tyson and what was it, JBS and all that stuff, in terms of the meat market specifically, because it's something that something I didn't even know about before a week ago. I didn't know, the complexities and pork distribution, but whatever, that's something else. Here's another news story. Paccar is recalling an additional 455,458 trucks for an ABS issue. So according to a release yesterday, Paccar is recalling more than 450,000 trucks due to an issue with the anti-lock braking system. In the event the anti-lock braking system loses power or loses battery and or ignition power to the controller, the dash warning light for the ABS may not illuminate to warn the driver of the loss of ABS, which could lead to, clearly, tragedy. Certain models affected, including the 2008 through 2019. This list is long, but I'm going to say it because it's important. 2018 or 2008 through 2019 Peterbilt 330, 335, 337, 340, 348, 365, 367, 384, 386, 387, 388, 389, 567, 579, and 587 vehicle models. And the 2008 to 2020 Kenworth T170, 270, 370, 660, which I like that truck myself, 680, T800, T880, and W900. Vehicles equipped with NAMUX, NAMUX software. It's pretty, excuse me, it's pretty interesting because this is a second recall in less than a month. Last month, Paccar recalled 35,671 trucks to repair issues with battery cables on certain models, according to the March 18th, 2020 notice from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The recall, to be honest, it affected the same trucks. For the most part, it affected the same trucks. Peterbilt models 365, 389, 567, 579, manufactured between 2015 and 2020, in which an electrical short circuit with battery cables can increase the risk of fire. Basically, it's rubbing on the left-hand side of the truck, and obviously, once it rubs too much, it will ignite. So it's pretty interesting. The safety report said the recall population was determined by filtering build records by option code. Paccar said in the safety report, the recall trucks are equipped with a left-hand under hood jumper terminal. No injuries have been reported to date, and Paccar only believes 1% of the recalled trucks are truly defective. So that was a pretty interesting story to me. And it clearly everybody's covered it. It's such a big story because there's so many darn trucks out there that are going to be affected by these recalls. So I do have an article up. So does every other media outlet in the transportation industry. So feel free to read it and share it and do whatever you guys do with social media. All right. So here's the next thing. And this is our State of Trucking. It's a release that we do every Tuesday, where we talk about just the economy. Now, clearly, we know right now, freight sucks. The rates suck. Everything sucks about the business, really, to be honest, but whatever. So I still put out my weekly infographic. Why not? Infographics are fun. We all know what has been going on this week. Carriers are feeling the crunch as way too many carriers enter the spot market on COVID-19 pandemic, forces non-essential businesses to continue to close. Now, what I mean by that is clearly we have an overabundance of freight. I'm not going to go into it because this is a quick video, but we have way too many trucks on the road because we're only working at essentially a 40% capacity of shippers being open. So it's a big deal. Quote of the week, and I felt like this was a very important quote because it resonates. Oh, darn, I gotta do that later. Anyway, quote of the week: failure will never overtake me if determination to succeed is strong enough. And that is by Og Mandino, whatever. I don't know how you say your name. I just saw the quote and I really liked it, so I chose to take it. According to Carrier 411, aspiring carriers and brokers are starting to listen to the market crunch. Believe it or not, new applications are down for the first week in quite a while since I've been monitoring them, so about 6 weeks. In the past 7 days, 167 applications were filed for new brokerage authorities, which is down 19.8% from last week. Applications for carriers are down 14.6% for a total of 1,515 new property motor carriers. So that's still 1,500 people that are looking to enter the marketplace as trucking companies. Property carrying trucking companies is pretty interesting. The national diesel price has fallen again this week to $2.50 per gallon for a national average, along with a 4-cent drop. So it dropped 4 cents from last week to $2.50 per gallon. West Coast is still the highest, clearly at $3.02 per gallon, which is a 62% drop from last year. Our national average drop is 61 cents from last year. So that's a pretty big one. If you're interested in optimizing your fuel purchases, make sure you go over to truckertools.com because they have a whole system to optimize fuel depending on which lanes you're going. It's pretty interesting, blah, blah. Rates and trend lines. According to DAT Solutions, the oldest and most trusted load board for freight analytics software provider out there. See what I did there? Van spot volumes lost 20% the past 2 weeks. And the national average rate lost 8 cents per mile to $1.78, reflecting declines all over the country. Reefer trends weren't much better, and flatbed sector has been slow for months, according to DAT. Then tornadoes swept through the south and high winds continued up the east coast, wreaking havoc along the way. It is not the best week for sure, according to that. Van load to truck ratios have dropped. I can't even see it. So small, 44.4%. And this is from last week that it dropped, 40% from the week before. So over the year, let me see if I can see this. We're still, I don't know. I can't tell. I think we're up 83%. Is that what it says? Yeah, we're up 83% from from April of last year. It's crazy. As you guys all know, the market sucks right now. Freight rates suck. Volumes have dropped. There's more trucks than we need in capacity, so it's causing everybody just to blame every single other person. So we're blaming brokers, we're blaming shippers, we're blaming carriers, we're blaming everybody. There's not a lot of trucks on the road right now, or there's a lot of trucks on the road, but there's not a lot of freight on the road. Essential goods are moving. The FMCSA seems to be doing everything they can to put more trucks on the road when we don't necessarily need it. Hey, that's kind of what they do. Unfortunately, what can we do? Right? What can we do? So the pandemic is continuing to disrupt virtually everything everywhere. Toilet paper is still a hot commodity that we can't seem to locate down here in Florida. And as of this writing, there have been nearly 600 confirmed cases. And I believe as of this morning, there were over 23,000 COVID-19 related deaths in the United States. Nearly every state is under some form of lockdown or safer at home order, and over 16 million people have filed unemployment claims in the past 3 weeks. The nation's largest meat production plant has closed down indefinitely, causing CEO to sound alarm about a possible meat shortage in the United States. Brokers and shippers are all trimming staff in attempts to stay operational as the pandemic continues on. No one really knows when this will end, but we know it will eventually. And we know we will come back stronger than ever. This has been 5 Minutes of Freight, and it's been a little bit longer. Guys, stay tuned. 2 o'clock today, I will be going live for the Freight Broker Live show. See you guys later. I apologize for that. I don't know what happened there. See you guys later.